So it's Monday, and the kids have therapy until Wednesday this week. And it's been a little bit crazy, even though the kids have been happy in a lot of ways, it's still been crazy because yesterday Aaliyah had a seizure, and we believe that it happened because JR started giving her sauerkraut again, which sounds crazy, but it's fermented and it is probiotic, and things like that do not often do well with her. She's very sensitive. She's extremely sensitive. So the JR thought it might be okay because she'd had it in the past and responded okay to it, but it had been a while, and clearly it would seem that it did not go over well. It would seem that that was the problem. So hopefully she's really starting to stabilize now, since what happened yesterday. And Adriana has been just very unstable. And I may have mentioned that I started to think that was due to her seizure med. And I started, just looking through the side effects. It sounds like they're describing Adriana. And these side effects are they're not typical things that you feel. They're unusual. So it's just telling that they describe her to a T, like uneasy and more clumsy, difficulty kind of knowing where she is in space, like knowing where to sit down, where the chair is, and losing her balance, feeling like things are. And this actually is just what I think she's feeling. It was written in the side effects, and this seems like something she might be feeling, but feeling like the room is moving or that you're constantly in motion, because she constantly seems off balance or well, like I said, clumsy or unsteady. And tremors is even a side effect, and she definitely has that. She definitely has that going on. So she's basically had gotten to a point yesterday and today where she's crawling around, or every few steps is sitting down, because you can tell she feels unsteady, or she feels like she's gonna fall, or she feels like something's gonna give. And I realized too, she breathes hard all the time. She sounds kind of like Darth Vader. And what I'm thinking, I'm smiling because it's kind of cute, but I guess I laugh at my own joke. It's it, it's it's sad though, because I believe that she might be doing that to kind of regulate and to keep herself going, because she feels herself maybe losing energy. It's hard to describe, but maybe losing energy. So I feel like that could be part of it. So obviously that part of it's not funny, but yeah, she's done like heavy breathing for a long time, basically for about a year since she's been on that medication, maybe a couple months into it. And I just have to think it's something that's self-regulating, or it's just interesting how we do things so naturally to keep ourselves balanced. And I think that that's part of what she's doing. But yeah, just it appears sometimes like she looks lightheaded, or her eyes have rolled back. That was a year ago. That happened a lot in the summer. And I'm reading these in the list of side effects, and I'm thinking couldn't be more this couldn't sound more like her and what she's going through. So I emailed the neurologist and asked him if he had any suggestions, and just told him I think the medication very well might be doing this, and we're not happy with the med anymore, and we're hoping to figure this out more, and just wanted to know if you had any recommendations for us until we see you next. And he suggested getting an EEG because he wants to know if this is a seizure or not. And he suggested maybe upping the medicine if we can't get the EEG, to see if it stops the problem. And if it does, then maybe we know it's seizures and she needs more medicine. But the thing is, the email did not address the fact that I truly believe that this is a side effect of the medication. So she's also, still having like little convulsions, these moments where she has like jolts where, a few times it'll just keep happening. And just this morning, she suddenly goes stiff and her head falls back. And it's scary. It's scary to have your kid be able to just sort of lose consciousness at any point for a couple seconds. It's enough time to fall back. If she's standing, if she's sitting somewhere, and in Cortica, her head hit the window that day when she was sitting. But yeah, it's scary not knowing what to expect, and I know she's getting sick of it. Every step she makes is a very cautious and anxious one, apprehensive. And honestly, it just stinks because we didn't know what was going on. And I look back and I can, probably at least a year ago, or it's been a long time, she'll be at the park and she likes to sit in the mulch, or she likes to kind of hide in a corner and sit in a corner and kind of bunch up and like bring her knees into her chest really tight. And because of autism, you just think a lot of behaviors are just, well, something's going on and we don't understand it and she's trying to self-regulate, or she just really enjoys the mulch, or she just really likes sitting down. I'm looking back on it and realizing like the ground is where she felt safe, and it's just this problem is getting worse. So I'm finally seeing that she didn't feel safe anymore to run around or climb as much, and she's using some good sense there. She's trying to be, she's apprehensive. So I feel bad that this has gone on for so long. And JR did some research, and he realized that her medication Trileptal affects blood sugar. She once had a really strong blood sugar reaction, a hypoglycemic reaction to being, she had been sick and she stopped eating and drinking, and we just weren't as vigilant. We just figured she was, we just didn't really even notice as much. But she had really low blood sugar. But so that was scary. She actually had to be hospitalized. She had also been getting cold medicines, which interact with her as well, and they're very sensitive to those decongestants, and they were drying her out. So she wasn't getting enough water, and she was getting dried out. It was awful. It was awful. And but we learned a lot from that. But now we're realizing, okay, her blood sugar's getting messed with through this drug. And then JR also said, because she seems worse after her morning fresh pressed juice, and she gets ginger in that, and I guess ginger also lowers blood sugar. So she seems worse after that drink. And the drink's supposed to be super healthy, so I wasn't really understanding, but now we kind of are. And it seems that her her medication, certainly, I think that's definitely the biggest culprit, is lowering her blood sugar and creating like a hypoglycemic response. And it's throwing her off balance, and who knows, I'm sure it's affecting other systems too, not just blood sugar, and but certainly that. So we fully believe she needs to be off the medicine, and I wish the email from the neurologist had addressed potential side effects that we want to avoid, because another one, it's also made her completely lose her appetite. So it's gotten a little better lately, but for a long time now, most meals we have to spoon feed her every meal. And she's thin. She's really thin. So, I mean, we work hard to feed her. So I'm not interested in doing this medication anymore, and I'm frustrated that you go for help, and not usually, like whenever we've done a seizure med, it's turned into something just really horrible and really scary, and something that sets us way back. Something that ends up being worse than the original problem. And that's frustrating because you waste a lot of time and energy, and it's somewhere where you went where you thought, like, you just trusted that. I know there's always side effects listed. There's always a warning, right? But my kids can't talk, and they have a lot of, strange reactions to food and to things naturally that I can't see. So I'm not always going to immediately know that, oh, that's the seizure med. Like, 3 months ago they started that med and now look. We're not always going to put that together. And it's just frustrating that these meds are used so much with special needs and they have such adverse effects so often. And I just wish that well, thankfully, anyways, if we just went with the doctor, we might end up upping this medication. I don't think we're going to get into an EEG. It doesn't sound like it. They do them here, but the fact that he didn't offer it to us and suggested we go back to our old neurologist who no longer is there tells me that they don't have any appointments open or they're just not doing it at this time. But yeah, it's been months that we've been waiting for the MRI. And I don't think the EEG is going to happen, and I don't want to up the medication to see what happens. Obviously, for obvious reasons. But it does leave us in a tough spot because I do think we figured out what's going on. But if we take out that med, because we're lowering it now, I've already started lowering it. She may very well have seizures because her brain is less controlled. So, there might be spikes that happen. So JR suggested perhaps we go back to CBD, which was having some weird effects, but it was calming in the moment, but then the next day she had like bad effects. Just behavior was worse and she didn't feel good the next day. But she has had a lot of growth with eating healthy and with rebuilding good things in her body. So maybe she could and she's had a long break from CBD. So maybe now she could handle it. I just think it has to be better than what's going on because literally, there'll be hours that go by where she's just not safe. Adriana is just not safe. She's constantly twitching, or her whole body is like having those, shakes, those like little jolts of like almost like electricity, and it kind of is electricity, but she'll have those like just jolts, or she'll lose consciousness for a second, fall back or fall to the ground, and it is so frequent that this morning I told JR I don't even know how she could go to school like this. She doesn't have an aide, but even with an aide, she'd just have to be constantly watching and waiting for her to potentially fall over. It's just dangerous, and it's no way for anybody to have to live. And I know it's frustrating for her. So I'm not interested in this medication, and I'm tired of the side effects of medication. I'm tired of what it does. I'm tired of what these things do. I'm not completely closed to another med, just because I know that if things do get really bad, if CBD is not helpful, not the answer, if she does need something to give her more stability, it's just not going to be this. It's not going to be what she's on now. So, I'm hungry. So, it's frustrating, but I am glad because I do think God gives us wisdom. I do think we're learning and understanding more. I do think that we can make this issue can improve. I just know that you lower the seizure med, and I do see her mind start to she's happier. Her mind, she can engage more. She enjoys more. She's doing better, but at the same time, she's also more unstable. That was another side effect of the Trileptal. Dr. Yu, before he left with UCLA, he told us that to let him know if we started noticing she was having more difficulty talking, or she seemed to be regressing in her ability to communicate. And Dr. Yu left, and we started with the new, neurologist, and things happen, and I think, there's times where you just aren't sure what's going on, and I think I just didn't think of it. I just didn't think, oh yeah, that's definitely the med. But now I do. Now I think maybe she was having a hard time getting words out because of that stupid medication, causing cognitive regression and difficulty getting words out. And I'm like, what's the last thing that Adriana or Aaliyah need? A pill that has a side effect of cognitive regression and difficulty getting words out. I'm just like, why are we doing this stupid stuff? Why are you giving us this poison? Why? I mean, I know we need to help, work on controlling seizures. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, but is this really all there is to offer? Is this really all there is to offer? Stuff that makes Aaliyah completely lose her mind and become a different person and literally fall apart all day, every day. And stuff that takes away their ability to learn or to speak or to walk without worrying about falling and losing consciousness. I'm just so weary of this, and I'm so weary of neurology, and I know I've gone off on this before. I know that it works for some people. I know that these pills work for some people, but none of this addresses underlying causes. None of this addresses things that need to be healed in the brain or in the gut or in our, body systems, our bodily functions. None of it addresses that. And those problems get left unaddressed. It just, symptoms just get managed, and that's great. I know there's some things that will always be a mystery. There's some things that probably this side of earth, we can just not, this side of heaven, is that the phrase? We just aren't going to figure out. But I do think there's so much more, and neurologists aren't even, they're not looking deeper. I mean, they're able to, I do appreciate that this neurologist, Dr. Wong, wanted to figure out, is this a seizure or is this a medical thing? He's known that this has been going on, though, for at least a month, but probably months. So I think this could have already been suggested, possibly, but, he's, because things have gotten worse. I don't blame him for that, but I just, I do appreciate that he wanted to figure out whether this was medical or not, but like the suggestion of raising the dose and not even taking what I'm saying is, I'm telling him, I think the medicine might be the issue causing these dangerous side effects, and to not even have that acknowledged just feels, like, why don't you try to take more and then we'll see if it's a seizure or not. And then, at the end of the day, too, the only advice he has left is to try another med. And I know he's done blood work. He's done, he's as comprehensive as they come. He's done a good job with testing. We've done a lot of genetic testing. We've really jumped through some hoops. We've really tested a lot of different things. We've looked into a lot of different things. But it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that I think we're reaching the end of the line with him. Potentially, we get, okay, so this med doesn't work. Okay, so what do you want to try next? What med do you want to try next? Okay, well, if you want to try your CBD, okay, you could try that. But I think that's the end of the line. It's down to, here's another medicine. And, Dr. Yu, when we used to see him, with UCLA, I remember our last appointment, and he was putting a bad light on what they do at Cortica. It's like, well, I don't think that's a very respected place because they offer anything besides medicine. It's still like mostly medicine here, but he does have other options and other ideas. But Dr. Yu was even so critical of anybody that isn't just purely, what medicine do you want? Dr. Wong does medicine, and you know, that's his thing too, and that's the major fallback Dr. Wong has. But you know, Dr. Yu even acted like, oh, you know, it sounds more natural. It sounds like he's looking at other systems, you know, and oh, he's considering what's going on in the gut. Well, that's, you know, that doesn't sound like it's based on research, or, you know, just like, well, you're wrong. You're wrong. There is research on this. Like, these people, you know, I'm like, you went to school for how long and you're not interested in anything else but giving a giving a, you know, medication? And, you know, he was very, I remember him going through, I was telling him about Cortica, and he's like, it was like he wasn't listening, and at all. And he just ignored everything I said and was just like, well, let me give you a list of our medications. And he went through, and because I told him I was scared of the side effects, I told him that. And he just acted like he didn't really hear me, and he just was like, well, there's this one, and he's like, this would have this good effect, and this, he's like, but the side effect, and each one, as he goes down through, each side effect is just horrible, and we get the side effects. We are going to get your side effect. We are going to get it. So assume that we are going to get your side effects. Making it personal, calling it his side effects. But yeah, we're going to get it. So assume that, and then assume it's not going to be worth it, because it's not going to end up being a better than the actual problem we started with. So just, you know, I just remember his list, and just, he's like, well, there's, you know, a rare side effect. And the rare side effect of Trileptal, yep, we're here. We got it. We got all of it. The whole list. And the thing he told me to look out for, yep, we got that. And it did set us back, and it did hurt the kids. And I mean, maybe it helped on some level. There's stability in some level, right? I mean, but like I said, at this point, she's falling over and hitting her head. So, you tell me. You know, we're going to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor's like, wow, did she have an injury? Well, yeah, her seizure med. I'm so frustrated because, you know, like I said, Dr. Yu wasn't concerned, and he just thought, you know, why would you want to go to a place besides me when you can have so many wonderful medications? And it blows my mind that they're not in any way inspired, because he wasn't, the neurologist before that wasn't, and this neurologist is much more open-minded. Dr. Wong is probably the best one of the best you're gonna get. One of them. There's probably clinics that do much more holistic, where they really want to look at systems and things that are off and need to be healed. But Dr. Wong, I have to say good things about him. I mean, comparatively, he's better, and he's more open-minded. But yeah, Dr. Yu, he was not, and the medications that are offered are not godsends for us. They're not blessings to us, and they are for some people. But even those people, like I said, you know, you're not getting your underlying issue treated, and eventually it could start affecting your systems. Eventually it's probably going to start affecting your body, your digestive system. It's going to start doing something damaging. And what I was saying was, I just wish neurologists thought, okay, this is interesting. You're presenting me with this information. You're presenting me with, when Aaliyah seems to eat these things, when she has these supplements, when she has this medication, what are the common denominators here? Why would that cause this? What can we do? And they're not interested. They're not interested in like putting things together, and they don't have time to. So honestly, they don't have time. And Dr. Wong referred us to an amazing gastroenterologist who did as much for us as she could. But Aaliyah's just so sensitive. She's just so sensitive that it's just not, we're doing what we can. We figured out more than we ever have before, and more than any doctor's been able to figure out, because like I said, I mean, I get that they do have limited time, but I wish that they had more time than to just prescribe medicine and run tests. I wish there were a way to get that. But we're doing what we can, and JR thinks that Aaliyah has yeast overgrowth, but she's extremely sensitive to any die-off, so if you kill any of the yeast, she's going to have seizures. And he said just slowly but surely we have to chip away and starve the yeast. And eventually, you know, just being patient, and she's going to get healthier. It's already helping. The diet and the things that we're giving her with the, you know, yogurt and probiotic things that she's been able to handle, it's already helping. But yeah, it's sensitivity on a whole nother level. I get that most professionals are going to be like, what's going on here? But I do think it teaches us something, because while she's extra sensitive, other people are experiencing these effects, just not to her level. So they just don't know how much it's affecting them, because they're not having the same dramatic effects, but it's still impacting their systems. You know, the Miralax that Aaliyah had that gave her seizures every night until she quit taking it, it's affecting other people's digestive systems as well. Maybe not enough to make it not worth it, but it is. It's flushing their serotonin to the point that it's going to affect them neurologically in some way. Even if it's nothing crazy. I just think this teaches us, you know, what are we doing to our bodies, and how do we go from just treating symptoms and just trying to like put out fires. Well, I guess putting out fires would be better, but just treating symptoms, putting a band-aid over things, to actually addressing underlying problems and figuring out underlying problems. You know, most doctors don't test for leaky gut. You have to go and spend a ton of money at a like with a natural whatever doctor. You have to spend a lot of money, go out of your way to find out if your gut is messed up and if all these toxins are leaking into your system and wreaking havoc on your whole body. It's just been eye-opening. I used to think anything but medical doctors was kooky and just, you know, money grabbing. Just people playing doctor. You know, and chiropractors even have that reputation a little bit, like people tease, you know, like you're not a real doctor and all that. I mean, those people do amazing work, and it's incredibly preventative of so many problems. There's value to taking care of yourself and preventing things from happening, preventing all these diseases and allergies and reactions that our bodies are having that are terribly reducing our quality of life. I have a lot of feelings about this, obviously, but I should wrap it up. But that was our day, and I do feel blessed to that JR, I think, has figured out some important things. He's put some things together that I didn't, and I thought of some things that he probably didn't, but as far as it being the medication, but he's good at understanding, going deeper than the side effects into looking at the blood sugar and how things are reacting. But I'm grateful that we're able to have healthy enough minds to put some things together and to try to help, and to try to make the kids, to try to help the kids be safe. I'm walking around thinking, like, do we need to buy infant mattresses or baby mattresses because they're, you know, covered and waterproof, and put them all over the house, just all over every surface of the floor, you know? Oh my gosh. I think that we're I don't think we're gonna have to do that. We probably should. If I had extra money, I would do it, but I don't think it's gonna be a necessity. But yeah, that's it.